Hey everybody, Quad Nines here with some packs and some pickups and just going over just some cards I've been trying to acquire. But anyway, I'll start with some of the full pickups. These are the 3 EDH decks that I'm currently playing, tuning, just messing around with. I still have a couple more that I play from time to time. These are my main 3 I'm looking at. I've already done a deck tech for Ural, so I have changed a few cards and grabbed a few more full, so let's go over them real quick. I picked up a privileged position in full, which was a little pick a trade and not easy to get, but there it is. Same thing with the Daybreak Coronet. The original full, I like it a lot too, but this is Brimaz and is a lot cheaper and very shiny. So Divine Reckoning, very good in the Voltron deck, so obviously good in Ural. Herald of the Pantheon, picked this up pretty cheaply, and it goes right in what the deck's trying to do, so had to go with that. Druid of the Anima, I didn't have quite enough ramp in it. This also kind of protects me from sacrifice effects, or at least single sacrifice effects with Ural, and it does fix my mana pretty well. Blessing of the Nephilim, somebody had suggested this on my deck tech video actually, and I just had it on my wants for a long time on Puka Trade, and it finally came in, and it just is really one of the better looking fulls. You know, it really stands out a lot more than the regular one. So if you haven't actually looked at this card, it's pretty amazing. So it's +5/+5 for Ural. Just picked this up, a Treetop Village. I always need extra full Treetop Villages, and this isn't my favorite art, but we'll get to that, more on that later. But this is pretty sweet. It's 10th edition, so one of the few non-full cards I had in the deck. I'm not quite as far along with Tristani as I am Sidisi, but I am liking this deck a lot. People don't seem to pick on me as much because, you know, they're like, life gain, I can kill you some other ways, but it's got some pretty sweet cards in it. So anyway, this card was suggested by the guys from the Command Zone podcast, Jimmy Wong and Josh Lee Kwai, Righteous Aura. I basically got this for Voltron decks, or one of the guys in the group I play with plays Progenitus sometimes, and he always goes after me first, so I can just name Progenitus, pay 2 life, which in this deck means nothing, and it just prevents the damage from the source of my choice. So it's a really cool way to get around non-targetable stuff or Voltron damage. So Phyrexian Rebirth, it's a token deck, so you know, if you've got a Wrath of the board, you want to get something back out of it. If I've got like my Doubling Season or another token doubler out, I get twice as much, so not the worst. Don't really like Wrath in the board in a token deck, but sometimes you have to. Ant Queen, another Puka pickup. You know, you can just make an army of insects, and you can usually pump them in the deck, so it's good to have around. Of course, got this idea from the professor. He did a Tristani deck tech, and this is one of the, it's kind of cheap, but it's in case of Mercy Break Glass win conditions in the deck. Test of Endurance, so getting 50 life is not hard at all with Tristani. An Origins edition, pretty good. The tokens trigger it too, so you don't have to cast them, they just have to enter the battlefield. So I've got a lot of tokens that are, you know, they wind up being pumped from different effects, and then just a lot of the creatures are bigger than 3 power, so this draws a lot of cards. Armada Worm just makes token, big thing. Tick Edge, I don't play Wasteland in this deck or Strep Mine. It's a little bit one of my nicer decks, so this you know, can't really screw anybody's bad. It only does non-basic, so not quite as mean. Imperious Perfect, there's a slight elf theme, not a lot, but it's also a token producer. I'm just being able to pump the other elves. It's just a random upside. Slady's Guildmage, really strong. Everybody seems to want to kill this guy on sight just because he can, you know, make his own army and pump your whole team. So, Crows and Tusker, if you're playing green EDH, you want this. You never cast it, like pretty much never, but it's a 2-for-1 for 3 mana. You get to cycle it, which you draw the card, and then you go get the basic land, and then you draw the card. So 2 cards for 3 mana in green. Tough to beat that. Abdon the Worm, Tristani Summoner because, you know, more tokens. I do play Archangel of Thune, so Spike Feeder just seemed like an auto include, and be able to move the counters around with something like Doubling Season out, also good. Reliquary Tower, I do draw a lot of cards in this deck, surprisingly, so I noticed I was having to discard, so I popped this in there, took care of that problem. Locks it on the Hierarch, just Wrath protection, and gains a little bit of life, which triggers some other things like Archangel or whatever. Vitu-Ghazi is a great token producer in a land, so my mana is pretty good on being 2 colors, so I can definitely afford some utility lands. Another Guild Mage, this one Vitu-Ghazi, same thing, pumps out creatures, can populate other tokens, great. Of course, a token deck with a token lord. Sundering Growth, because you always have an artifact or enchantment you want to blow up, and this way you get a token out of it. I just picked these 2 up, so I'm not sure what I'm going to cut for them, but Vren's Wingmare, which has got the Thalia ability, but it's in a 2/1 flyer. And this one is Nissa's Revelation, which getting to scry, draw cards, gain life. Like I said, I've got some big creatures in the deck as well, like Avengers End card. Went blank for a second, but that, or the Armada Worm, getting to draw 5, gain 5 life. Pretty good. Okay, it might be a little longer than normal, but they're pretty sweet cards. Sidisi, like I do a full deck tech on this one, and Tristani when I'm really done with them. But here's some of the cards. Of course, the other version of Sidisi is good in any deck that runs black. They can actually both be out at the same time, so that's a plus. This card is House in EDH. If you're not running it in your green decks, it's just another kind of auto-include, because you can play it early, and by the time it comes back to you, it's already like a 4/4. And it counts your spells too, so trample, great stuff. I don't play many chaos effects, but this is kind of like that in the Great Aurora, and one of the guys in my group also plays a Mazes in deck, and it kind of ranches in pretty hard if I ever get to get it off. So, yes, he could possibly get to put them all into play, but usually it just mixes them all up. So, Bojuka Bog. I am a graveyard deck, but I want to be able to hose other graveyard decks, and it's just always good to have Bojuka Bog if you've got black. Awakening Zone. This card is really sick with Dictate of Erebos, which I also play, and sometimes I get double the tokens, and the ramp's not bad. Drown Yard, obviously it's a graveyard deck, so good. This, after turn 4 or 5, just draws me a creature of my choice every turn. A lot of times I'll go get Secure Tribe Elder, or just something I can sack and go get a land, and just do it over and over until I get enough lands. I actually run out of basics quite early in the game, like Diligent Farmhand, which you can do that on. It's not a very powerful card, but it's a sweet old border full, and it does what I want it to. It goes in the graveyard for like spider spawning, and searches out my lands. Hedron Crab is great. I have milled somebody else out before, but usually I just self-mill. Prophet, picked up another one of these for this deck because Shiny Prophet is just better than regular. Brooding Sauron, I don't like people taking my stuff. I don't really mess with anybody's stuff in this deck, so it just seems good to have this. It's also a 4/4 for 4, and it's signed by RK Post, so pluses all around. Shadows of the Past and other origins include multiplayer effects that say each opponent. Pretty good. The Scry is very valuable in this deck. And it's something to do on turn 2, which I don't always have, but sometimes you play it later in the game. But anytime you can activate this once or twice, you start getting some real value out of it. Elves of Deep Shadow, this is my favorite art, and it's shiny, so can't go wrong with that. It does fix a little bit. The damage doesn't matter that much. This allows me to attack with Sidisi, thus triggering it every turn, and keep it from being killed, targeted removal. This card in this deck feels like cheating, because I've almost always got Threshold unless somebody has Bojuka Bogged me or something, so I can just 2 mana put a creature directly into play. About as cheap as Reanimate effect as you're going to get that doesn't cost you any kind of life, or that gets somebody in play, so not bad. This card is a house, and once again, Threshold, not a problem. Untaps 3 target lands. I'm running like Gaia's Cradle and other like the Karoo lands from Ravnica block, so multiple lands tap for more than 1 mana, so this is usually at least 3 mana though. Parallel Lives, don't really go all out with doubling season in this deck, but making the extra tokens is really just what you want to do, so this is good enough for that, and it's just 4 mana. Largoyf, a lot of creatures in my graveyard and other ones, so this card is generally huge, hard to deal with. If I can ever get Trample, it's can end the game. Just got this one in, trying it out. any of the battle mages in your colors generally do things you want to do, and just having the, you know, the options, the mode effect where I can make somebody discard, or like I've had somebody cast a Blightsteel Colossus, and then I cast this and tap their Blightsteel Colossus, and it kills them. So seems good. Dead Bridge Chant is great in any graveyard deck, of course. It just draws me a card or puts a creature into play, and just filling up my graveyard is what I want to be doing. So I actually got this sent to me by a Puka trader. She was giving away a dual land, and she said I came in second, so she just sent me this, an altered Urborg, and it's really sweet, and sent this with it as well. I actually forget what this one is actually. It's a sweet card. It's not going in the deck, but I do like it. Any old border foil I'm all about. And the card I'm thinking about trying out is Brawn, to give things trample. Like I said, sometimes I get big creatures that can just be chump blocked, but this takes care of that. So a lot more foils in the deck, but those are the newest ones. Also a few other just pickups. I opened up a 4th box of Modern Masters, but the recording got trashed. This was one of the full rares. I think Battle Grace Angel was the other one. But you know, this is a pretty good modern card. Could go in Affinity. I'm not sure if I'm gonna build Affinity, but I did get a sweet deal on this Artbound Ravager full on eBay, like after it spiked, but it was still the regular price, so I picked it up. And if I ever build Affinity, it's definitely going in there. Jiraga Tree Speaker, especially they're for Cube. Jiraga Tree Speaker, I had one foil, but I always seem to want to mix it between my EDH decks and my cube, so this one's going in the cube permanently, and the other one can just hang out like Edric or something. Tezzeret the Seeker, I do play him in cube. He's really good in my artifact themes. And the Modern Master one is much cheaper than the original one, and I like this art better than the dual deck, so win-win on that. Dragonlord Gatarka, really good. A lot of green ways to tutor it up, and I had one in the cube, just wanted a full. These two are my favorites. Like I said, this Treetop Village art is my favorite art, and it's a Urza block full, so not many better looking fulls than this one. And I got a Beta Basalt Monolith. As you can see, it has some wear on it, but you know, I do like this art better, but I hate white borders just as a general rule. And I do like picking up beta stuff, and it was pretty cheap, very playable, no creases or anything. It's just, you know, a little wear around the edges. So anyway, that's about 12.5 minutes of fulls and pickups, and a few packs for those people that just like packs. It's pretty much all I've been doing lately, so I wanted to definitely do like a pickup video, because some people seem to like those as well. Sorry if I've been speaking too fast or not clear. It's kind of late, and I'm trying to get through this. I mean, you know, like I said, work or anything, but you know, just want to get it all in so the video's not too long, which I just made longer by telling you that. Anyway, this is M13. I just had a random pack of M13 sitting around. Thought I'd show, maybe pull something good. Ring of Colonia. Actually, it's not bad in EDH. Cleaver Riot. Elixir of Immortality, and the rare is Sunpetal Grove. So yeah, the dual land cycle, which, you know, standard could probably use right about now, especially after the Theros Scrylands rotate out. I'm interested to see what we're getting in Battle for Zendikar, since it's not fetch lands. This will date the video, of course, but I believe that maybe there's a shot that we get the enemy fetch lands, like one in each commander deck that's coming out, but if not, they'll reprint them eventually. It's not the biggest deal. Let's go through these. Been doing a lot better in Origins Draft. I kind of realized I was playing poorly. My decks are a little bit better, and if I draw halfway reasonably, I usually have a good shot of winning. Giraper Aether Grid. I always like have one of these in my sideboard, and I never bring it in because I don't have enough artifacts. Scalp Goliath, Fire Conclusion, and hey, Daiwin Guiltleaf Dane. Good card. I've yet to open this on Moto, so even when I have the black-green elf deck, I've never had this one, but pretty strong card, pumping all your elves and being able to gain life, and it's just a 3/4 with the reach for 4, so just solid stats. Again, if you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. I am trying to hurry it up, but you know, just a lot of cards to look at, a couple packs to open, good stuff. Once again, I'll be doing the deck text for those two decks when I get them, right where I want them. Got a couple more foils to pick up and a little tweaking. But Conclave Naturalist, Eye Black Masquerade, this card is so good. Even if you don't run elves, it's just, it's like if you can get you can 3 for one of them, or 4 for 2 of them. Like you have one creature, they have 4 out, and you're like, oh, by the way, everything dies. So the mana's a little tough sometimes, but really good card. I like it a lot. This card's just about unplayable in the format. And another dual land, but Yavimaya Coast this time. So, not great rares, but not bad rares. I mean, these lands are always playable. This is a sweet card, and like I said, I picked up a lot of good foils, especially these two. Once again, it's hard to find a better looking foil than an Urza Block foil, which was the first ones, obviously. And this, which will go directly in the cube. Anyway, rambled enough, shown you enough shiny stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.